Hey guys, we're back on Facebook Live on the Big Buck Registry's Facebook page. And look who I tracked down. None other than Mr. John Klucky. And John and I are good friends. We've been hunting together and just hanging out at these shows like this for a little while now.
Seems like forever.
Doesn't it seem like forever?
It's okay, though. It's all good.
So John, if you don't know John is the hunter who owns the record for I don't know how to really say that because you don't really own the record. The buck, anyway, John's name is attached to the number one typical whitetail shot in New Hampshire.
Yeah, in 2006, I was lucky enough to shoot him.
I'd like you to kind of bring me through that story. I mean, I'm sure you've told this story.
The story is a great story. It really is. Right. Just from being with your friends out in the woods. Yeah. We did these deer drives with good friends of mine, a family, every year. They invited me along. So I went. I wasn't going hunting that morning. The story's crazy. I was supposed to go somewhere else, and ended up going with them. Ramphis family, and on the second drive, they put me on a spot where there was a big boulder. Usually, you stand by the boulder, hang out, and they'll come through the piece.
The rock.
The rock, exactly.
The rock.
Yeah, big rock. They said, "How the heck did you get up on that rock?" I said, "I climbed." So I got up on there, and sure enough, they came through the piece and pushed a doe out. I watched her come by me. The sun was just coming up over the trees. Sun in my eyes, no lie. Stocking cap on, had my hand over my eyes watching her go by, turned back around, and he was standing broadside at 40 yards. But I never knew what it was. I knew it was a buck.
Because of the sun?
Yeah, because of the sun. I knew he had antlers. That was it. Yeah.
You weren't like, that's the number one whitetail in New Hampshire? I've got to take that buck?
Exactly. Somebody tells you, especially in New Hampshire, anywhere in the country, that you're going to wake up, going to go with your friends in New Hampshire locally and shoot a booner.
Right.
You laugh at them.
Like, it's not happening.
Exactly. So needless to say, I made a shot on the deer and got down off the rock. Don't remember getting down.
I bet.
Yeah. And I went over to where I thought he was standing and no blood, no sign. So now, of course, your stomach's in knots. Looked back at the rock, walked a few more feet, and sure enough, I saw that I had hit him. So
that's crazy.
Yeah, and then the guys met me out there, and it was just a great celebration after that. Boy, I'll tell you what.
It's interesting about. It seems like there are a lot of number ones that were taken on a drive. If you look at
Johnny King buck.
Johnny King buck.
Same year, same scenario.
Same scenario.
Yeah.
Milo Hansen buck.
Yeah.
That was on a deer drive.
Yeah.
So this technique. In a lot of ways, I think, has its place in hunting.
It does. And when it's done right and safely, there's definitely a spot for it, a place for it.
Right.
It's gone back, through, you pass that on to other generations in your family. You grew up doing deer drives.
Right.
Most people that had a hunting heritage family were doing deer drives back in the day because they were hunting for meat.
Right.
So it definitely works when it's done right. That's for sure.
There's a lot of tradition that goes back years, and I'm not exactly sure where geographically it occurs in the United States, but typically it's more or less a northern thing for the most part, not exclusively, but it seems that way. It seems like most of the stuff most of the deer drives is more a New England thing, definitely, a Saskatchewan thing for sure. And Wisconsin, northern states, for the most part, this seems to be a technique that
it varies to every state. I've been all across the country deer hunting in Canada, and there's families that have passed that down generation to generation,
right?
And that's how they hunt for deer.
Right.
It's a productive way to hunt.
You go into the South, you see a lot of hunting with dogs.
Yes.
Now, is that controversial? Definitely. Do I approve of it? Absolutely.
Absolutely. If it's legal. And the way I look at it, I've hunted out of this country and all over the United States. And if it's legal means, I say go ahead. As long as you're following the rules and you're not doing anything wrong,
right?
I say I'm all for it. Promote hunting. Doesn't necessarily have to be with the way you do it.
Exactly. Promote hunting in
a positive way.
As long as it's legal.
Yes.
Go for it.
I agree, 100%.
And
it's fun.
After that, it's whatever technique you enjoy the most.
And exactly. And every deer that I've taken over my lifetime is a trophy to me. I don't care what it is.
Oh, yeah.
Especially New Hampshire, we work really hard as hunters. Deer hunting, as you know, here is not the greatest hunting in the country.
Right. We're not on the top 10
No,
list.
we're definitely not.
I
You
think
go
we're
to
in the
other
bottom
states.
10
Yeah,
list.
yeah, exactly.
Right.
You go to other states and boy, you see deer all day long, and it's tough here. I was had a great season last year. I shot 3 bucks in New Hampshire, my home state. No giants, but you know what? Every one of them's a trophy, and my family, we enjoy eating them.
Right.
You know, and we just it's great to me. So
I enjoy venison in all forms, whether it's moose,
without a doubt,
moose meat,
yeah.
deer. What's funny to me is that venison comes in varieties, meaning that if you eat a venison from Wisconsin or venison from Ohio, it does not taste like
it's
the venison
totally different
from New Hampshire.
I tell people that, and they're like, "What do you mean?" I'm like, "It definitely." Geographically, it's way different.
Has everything to do with what they're eating.
Exactly.
Now, in New Hampshire, they're eating acorns and hemlock.
Yeah.
And pine cones.
Not a good combination.
Or pine needles. It's not exactly the kind of meat that you'd want to introduce into your herd to give it flavor.
Exactly.
It's not a flavoring that you really enjoy. But there are things you can do to, and I think that's that gaminess that people talk about. But there's all kinds of things you can do to get rid of it.
And I'm a real firm believer. It's the way that deer is processed and taken care of is a big part of the way that deer's going to taste on the table. I really do.
I completely agree. And
I mean,
some deer that were not taken care of correctly, and that was the not so good.
Yeah,
meat.
Butchering's a big deal for us.
Definitely
as soon as that game animal is on the ground, that's meat. That's groceries for us.
Right.
And we take good care of it.
Right. And I kind of like some of the gaminess flavor. And maybe it's just because we're accustomed to it growing up in New Hampshire.
Well, it's a wild game animal.
It's a wild game animal, and I enjoy that aspect of it. Some people, they just don't. What I have done a lot of lately is jerky.
Yeah, I'm a big jerky fan. Huge.
Everybody seems to like the jerky.
Yep. People beg me all the time, when are you going to make me jerky? When are you going to make me jerky?
Right.
So, needless to say, we found some good recipes too, of course. Stew, bear stew, deer stew, good recipes. That's huge. Marinades, we use a lot of marinades. We're big fans of Green Mountain marinades. Yes. We love those guys. That Grill and Juice is is the best.
At one of your events, I think, I can't remember if it was the Klucky event or the NWTF event from last year, but I picked up some of that
There you go. Yes. Great stuff.
It's great.
Yep. We really love it. Turkey, deer, bear, whatever game animal we've used that on has really been awesome for us. Awesome.
Right.
Yep.
Tell me the story about the antlers that came along with your buck years later.
Oh boy,
this is a great story.
This is unbelievable.
This event a couple years ago.
If you really look back, the story on my deer, there's other people that knew about that buck. They had game cam pictures of them. They had sheds from them.
Right.
They had seen them. They had missed them. So let's go back to 2004 when a good friend of mine, Mark Otterson, had seen that buck live with antlers on his head in 2004.
Right.
2 days or something like this after the season, could not shoot him. I think Mark had shot at him at one point, if I'm correct, and missed the deer. So then Mark knew that deer was there, and I'm sure other people did too, and they hunted him. And the deer disappeared. From what I understand, maybe other people had seen him. And then we caught up with him in 2006, and I shot him and killed him. So then after that, a shed showed up at my house that weekend. I shot him in November of 2006, left-hand side. Had some chewing, but it was a large shed.
Yep.
Then Mark had told me to come over because he had a set of sheds from him. So he had those sheds from, back 2005, I think he found them.
That's crazy.
And had them since then, a match set from when the deer was 4.5 years old.
Right.
160-inch deer. And then just recently, within a year, it's been over a year now, I think, he said, he always wanted me to have them, but he just wasn't ready to give them up yet, which I can understand.
Right.
But he gave them to me.
Right.
Mark gave them to me, which we all thought was just absolutely unbelievable. So what I did was I had it mounted. So now he's hanging right above my state record buck up I display upstairs, so you can see when the deer was 4.5 years old and when I got him when he was 6.5.
That's awesome.
Really cool story.
I'm going to go live up there in a little bit. It's okay. I'm going to come up and visit your booth. I'm going to get on the phone and walk up there, and I'm going to show everybody the antlers, the buck. You have the buck with you.
Oh yeah,
okay.
absolutely.
The buck that John shot, and I'm going to show you the antlers that have been mounted since then. So I'm going to bring you up there, and
it's just a great story. I mean, when we were butchering that deer, we all get together. Back then, we were at Eric Ramphus's house in the garage, and Ronnie Lavoie, who's no longer with us, but he was the first one to me when I shot that deer. He thought I had shot somebody because I was pale white. Didn't know what was going on. I was mumbling. It was crazy. But anyways,
it was that much of an emotional experience for you.
When they asked me how big the deer was, I said, it's the largest deer I've ever seen in my life. They're like, what? And I'm like, I don't even know how many points were on his head.
Right.
And when you tell somebody that, they're like, well, what do you think,
What did it score out again?
He's grossed 208th when Roscoe first measured him.
Wow.
Which is anywhere in the world as a typical is just unheard of.
Right.
Anyway,
never mind New Hampshire.
Yeah, exactly.
That's respectable. Anyway,
again, going back to for somebody to tell you that you would shoot a deer of that caliber 10 miles from your house, yeah, but it happened.
It happened.
It happened. Yeah, it did. I was the right place, the right time.
Right.
Anybody could have done that.
Right.
And when we were butchering the deer, let me get back to that. There was a quarter up on the table, front shoulder, or whatever, and I saw Ronnie picking at it. So now he got my curiosity. So I go over and I'm looking, and I can see something dark down in the meat. This deer didn't have a mark on him. No fighting marks, no broken tines, nothing, which is very unusual for a white-tailed deer. But they told me that does occur in nature because of how big the deer was.
Really?
Yeah, they don't fight. They're going to breed and stay as far away from everybody else as they can. So
makes sense.
I poked down in there and I cut down in and I start dragging, I don't know what, out of the meat. It's dark. So I'm pulling it up, and I get it out, and it's a piece of rubber from the seeding of broadhead back whenever. There was no scars on that deer whatsoever, none. But that broadhead rubber was down inside that deer. I still have it to this day.
That's crazy. So
somebody had shot at that deer.
Somebody had shot the shot. I mean, multiple people have shot at this deer.
Correct.
Multiple people have missed or did not produce the kill shot.
Correct.
Until you came along.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean this has to occur. I think in New Hampshire in a lot of ways, that deer has to be really lucky.
Oh, yeah. I mean, when was that done? We don't know. You'll never know.
You'll never know.
Nope.
It's crazy.
So
you and I went turkey hunting a couple years ago.
Yes, we have to go again.
And we have to go.
We got to redeem ourselves. That was as you saw in the video. If you were sitting where I was sitting, you would have shot a bird.
The video.
Yeah.
Let me just recap this for everybody, and it's on my personal account right now, and someday I'll share it on the Big Buck. I'm just not sure if I'm ready to share it with 250,000 people yet. John was nice enough to take me hunting at one of his better spots, and we were hunting in a ground blind, and I was on the left, John was on the right. John was filming, and I was hunting, and it was very picturesque, and we had a hen come through the field. We had a pregnant doe, or she was huge.
Yeah.
Roaming through the field as well.
Sunrise was awesome.
It was just a perfect day. It was a little windy, and there was a lot of pollen running through, and you could capture,
as you can see on the film.
See on the film, and so it brought back a lot of memories. And this hen kind of hung around, and she stayed out in the field, I don't know, 20 yards, 30 yards.
And as a turkey hunter, that's just what you want.
Exactly.
And she was calling, I was calling. Right. It was awesome.
And there was gobbling all around. And as I was making some phone calls to coordinate some guests on this show for today, John says, "Hey, that footage that I took a couple years is ready. I'm going to post it right now. Go take a look at it." And I've just brought back all kinds of emotions because John could see these two toms that were dancing around on the edge of the woods.
Well within range.
I mean, they couldn't have been 20 yards out.
That's about it.
And I couldn't see them. And I couldn't really swing around because you were waiting for them to pop out. So, I mean, maybe I could have, snuck around the corner of the blind.
It's not the perfect shot, but as long as it's a safe shot and I have the turkey's head, that's all you need.
Right. So you're anticipating that they're going to come
That's
further.
What we thought, yep.
instead of, I mean, it would have been shooting into some bushes and stuff, and so it wasn't really the ideal shot.
No.
So we passed on that, but waiting for them just to take a step out in the open, just to identify what these birds were. Because you could see a lot of heads. You definitely tell it was a tom.
Yeah,
you weren't,
exactly.
But
weren't sure if it was a Jake or a mature tom, but that's what we wanted to wait for.
We waited on that, and as hunting happens, they ended up going the other way.
Yep, for no apparent reason.
No apparent reason. They weren't spooked. I mean, the video.
Oh, it was awesome.
I couldn't. This is the first time I've seen those turkeys.
Right.
Was in the video that you produced. Like those, they weren't spooked at all. They just decided for whatever reason to go the other way, probably because the hen was done hanging out in the windy field. That was the only thing I could conjure up. But it was a great morning, and we've had many mornings like that as hunters.
Yep,
and that's okay.
And as you said on the video, I like staying put.
Me too.
I just, it's worked over and over and over again for us. Early turkey hunting career, you get out of the blind or you move, and there's that bird silent right there, that big tom, and you just blew your hunt.
Right.
Patience really, really, really pays off in turkey hunting or any other type of hunting.
Right.
But more so in turkey hunting, because a lot of times those birds come in silent.
As I said in the video, I cannot tell you how many times my patience gets the best of me, and I head out and I go chasing birds that are gobbling on the roost on the ridge, and instead of staying where I was, and then nothing happens where I go, and I come back down to the spot where I started, and guess what's going on there? Well, there's like 3 or 4 toms strutting around. This happened over and over and over. So there's definitely something to be said for just staying put. As much as it doesn't jive with my personality, I want to go. I want to go find. I want to make it happen.
And there's nothing wrong with doing that, but you have to live with your decision once you do that.
Right.
It's just
I've had to live with that decision many times.
Yeah, I've had more success staying put.
Right.
Way more.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah, I agree with you. Well, John, this has been great. Thank you for coming on the show and going live on Blue Jeans.
We definitely got to get back out there together. I really enjoy that.
I agree.
Awesome.
I think we should do some more of that stuff.
Make a plan. We'll do it. We'll get it done.
You're a great videographer, and I enjoyed seeing all the techniques and styles you put into that video. And it was just a quick morning, but boy, we
had a good time.
Very well done.
Another memory. Thanks a lot.
Man. Appreciate it.